Hello, and thank you for joining us on What Now. I am Olamide Adeyemi. We begin here in Africa, where Zambia's Attorney General says the government has custody of Lungu's remains, which have been removed from a funeral home in Pretoria. This despite his family's claims that a separate urgent court order ruled that Lungu's body will be returned to the facility. The Zambian government says it has now taken custody of the former president Edgar Lungu's body for a state funeral. The government had been in a long-standing dispute with his family over where he should be buried after he died at a clinic in South Africa last June while receiving treatment at an undisclosed location for an undisclosed illness. His family were open to give him a private burial ceremony in Johannesburg that will exclude the presence of his successor and political rival, the incumbent president of Zambia, Hakainde Hichilema. They maintain that one of Edgar's Lungu's last wishes was that the current president should neither be anywhere near his body nor preside over his funeral. Last year, a South African High Court sided with the Zambian government, ordering the repatriation of Lungu's remains for a state funeral. Edgar Lungu led Zambia from 2015 until 2021 when he lost the elections by a huge margin to Hichilema. For a closer look at the rift over the burial of Lungu and the Zambian leadership, international relations expert and founder Pan-African Forum Limited, Dr. David Matsanga, joins me from the United Kingdom. Doctor, thank you for joining us on the World Now. Well, this is the latest tweets that we're seeing in a 10-month saga over what should happen to the former president's body, following a long-standing feud between both sides. But aside the court's decision, what's your own reaction?
This is a very sad moment for Africa. It is un-African for us to have this as a headline. When somebody has died in Africa, we don't go to this level. We have exposed our ignorance of the African values, African customs. I am one of the few people who has written to my younger man. He's younger than me because he was part of my group that used to come to listen to my lectures in London when he was in Birmingham University, President Hichilema. I have written to him this morning, telling him, please, don't do this. If there is a family, you are not next of kin. If there is a problem of push and pull, just avoid this public court battles in and out, in and out. I think the family has a say. If the will says he doesn't want to be buried wherever it is, I have asked President Hichilema to just avoid, leave it, surrender it, let the burial take place, and that's it.
Beyond, the court rulings, this is a really difficult time for the family. Now the government seems that they do not want to, accept this court ruling. But how should one interpret the Zambian government's insistence on a state's funeral, considering, it was their president at some point, but to you, does it reflect genuine national protocol, or this is another political calculation?
It's a political calculation because he knows he's going to lose the job. There's an election just coming in a few months in Zambia, you know that. And he wants to use the body of the man he hated so much to have a political capital. So I don't think the family is willing to go that route. This man had a bad relationship with the late. They had battles. He had removed the cars. He had removed the security. He has told him to return everything that was worth. Then why do you want him when he's dead? I think on this one, I stand with the family. The family has a right to take their person. They are the next of kin. The president is not the next of kin. Mr. Hichilema is not the next of kin to Mr. Lungu. Why is it so personal? He hated him when he was alive. He never gave him medicine. He never allowed him to go out for even treatment. You can imagine. So why do you want him now? He's dead. Above all, this is a shame a big shame for Africa. And in fact, it's a big, big shame for us Africans to pretend to be doing things like the things on the Lion and the Jewel or Lakunule. You know, there's no need of fighting over a dead body. You are head of state. If the family says he doesn't want to see you, leave him. Why do you want to use his body as a politics when you never liked him at all?
I mean, this is a big issue considering the history, such as the President Hichilema's 2017 arrest and detention on treason charges under Lugu's administration. And from what you have said, it seems that this is sort of, payback period. But this raises concerns as to the integrity of the current leadership in Zambia at the moment. And now that Lugu actually dropped a statement that it should not be anywhere close to his body, how much of this dispute is now shaped by grievance?
I mean, another court also has issued an order for the body to be returned to where they found it, because they have nowhere to fly the body. Where are they going to take the body? The body is now under the custody of the government of the Republic of South Africa. And every airport, every plane, every by road, by sea, by what, you can't take out the body until the court orders are served properly, executed. So there is nothing, it is a waste of time. This gentleman died in South Africa. He was not dying in a proper way as a head of state. He died as a person who had been actually victimized. Let him be buried by his family. The family is anguished. There is no peace between the family of Lungu and the family of Hichilema. Leave the man to be buried. As an African elder, I don't think this is something that we should go on haggling. What do you think these people, the Western countries, the Europeans look at us? What do we think that we know something, but we don't know? What are they saying now? Lots of things about how shallow we are, fighting over a dead body. Another thing is that reconciliation in Africa seems not to be there. There are no, people don't reconcile. There are so many places where I've been in the middle of such a crisis, like in Angola, Santos. I had to pick a phone to call the president of Angola to say, hello, what's going on? Allow a man to be buried. I don't see any reason.
Originally, there are processes, in handling the funeral of former leaders, heads of state, and also, presidents. Perhaps that's what the Zambian government is trying to ensure in this case, aside the political rift on ground. But let's talk about what presidents this really sets for how African governments now handle, the burial of their former leaders as against their family wishes. How can this be balanced between the state interest, historical record, and also the family's wishes for privacy and dignity in any case?
It teaches the culture of bad politics we have on the continent of Africa. Chiluba never wanted Mr. Kaunda to be buried in Zambia. He stripped Kaunda off. These Zambians have got very bad manners. They stripped Kaunda of citizenship, jailed him. He never wanted him to be buried. Fortunately, or unfortunately for God, God called Mr. Chiluba before Mr. Kaunda. We struggled in Africa to make sure that Mr. Kaunda is released from jail. This man, again, also with his friend, it teaches us there is something wrong with our democracy, our politics, our governance. We must actually, Africa needs to go back, my sister, to a drawing board. Is this type of one man, one vote democracy, elections, this is the one that brings sharp differences amongst the people. Is it working for us? Are we all mature enough in Africa today to say, okay, my friend, you have won, go home, I will wait for 5 years? No. Across Africa, my sister, you have seen how many people are fighting, and opposition doesn't want to see the president. The president doesn't want to see the opposition. It is almost everywhere. In your own place, I think it is only your own place where we don't see opposition leaders being held into court or detained.
And now that, apologies for cutting in, and now that this has now become, you know, a public show of strength, court matters, court, you know, judgment here and there, does the involvement of South African courts complicate or clarify sovereignty issues in cases where, you know, political figures die abroad?
It does, and South Africa must take up the lead. South Africa must stand up. South Africa has got values, customs. If they will, what does the will of the president say? That's it. In legal terms, you can say you want to bury somebody somewhere, but the man says, I don't want to be buried back in Nigeria. What will you force people? No. Let's take the will of the man and the family. The family is not just cooking up some material to say, let's bury this man in South Africa. The family is following what the man told them. And the man is not here to say it. But he left a will saying that I don't want ever to Mr. HH, we call him HH, president, to come near my funeral, to do any funeral, you know, ceremonies by the government of Zambia. Therefore, why can't we as grown-up Africans, I have told Mr. HH, the student from Birmingham University, to pull off, leave the body to be buried, or alternatively, criminate the man and throw them in River Zambezi.
Dr. Basanga, I think there is also, you know, the risk that this issue could, you know, deepen political polarization in Zambia ahead of, you know, future elections. Now that, you know, the Zambian government is fighting specifically for this, despite the rift on ground. But we wait out to see what, you know, comes out of this decision by the court on this case. That's a fine place to leave it for now. Thank you for talking to us on World Now. International relations expert and founder, Pan-African Forum Limited, Dr. David Masanga. Thank you for joining us on World Now.
Thank you very much for giving me time. And indeed, he's going to have a rough time if he doesn't bury Mr. Lungu back in Zambia. He will lose an election. Thank you.
All right. Well, you're still watching The World Now on TVC News. We take a short break and come back with the rest of the conversation. Stay with us.